Can't believe we all got catfished as kids with the Goosebumps intro. Because let's be honest, this is an amazing intro. It's one of my favorite TV intros of all time. I love that it introduces R.L. Stine as a character in the world, it shows his work going out, and that it almost like corrupts society. And that it turns normal things horrifying. And they just did a great job all around. The tone's great, it sets a mood, it looks like they worked really hard on it, honestly. Because I remember for the time period, I was like, that looks good. And then the show would actually start and it did not look good. A lot of the episodes feel really cheap, like their budget was $50 and a pack of construction paper. And also the acting was really bad, but I don't think it was the actor's fault necessarily. Because even with young Ryan Gosling and little Hayden Christensen, they still didn't pull off most of these episodes. That's because they kind of went with this cartoony kind of feel to it. It was like they were really trying to make the show for kids, when that's not really how the books were. Even though they were written simply for children, they were kind of scary stories. They call R.L. Stine Stephen King for little kids, and I can totally see that because a lot of these stories were really dark for children. You really didn't know if the main character was going to have a good or bad ending. And Goosebumps always ended up living in the shadow of Are You Afraid of the Dark because it had an amazing intro and the show was actually scary. This was a great example of a horror show that's made for kids, but it wasn't cartoony, it was actually scary. But I felt like Goosebumps could never ride that fine line. But it wasn't all bad, they had a few good episodes. When they did the adaptation of The Haunted Mask, I think they actually did a really great job, and this episode is very claustrophobic, as she can't get the mask off and slowly starts to turn into the monster. And while it wasn't perfect, their adaptation of Horrorland actually has some scary moments in it, but again, it's like the construction paper outfits. It does still have this cartoony feel, but there is something really isolating and scary about this episode. And probably one of their best adaptations was Welcome to Camp Nightmare. I think this one stands out because it almost feels like a movie, whereas most of the other episodes feel like TV show episodes. And the ending twist is actually really good for a kid's show, even though the ending feels a little bit inspired by that Twilight Zone episode, The Third from the Sun. But they're clearly very different. The funny thing about it was the intro to the show was so good that I would just get tricked over and over again. I'd get the song stuck in my head and I'd want to go watch it, and then you see the intro, you're ready to be scared, and then the show starts and it never hits the same heights that the intro did. And even though this intro tricked me, if they started making episodes of Choose Your Own Adventures, I would watch it in a heartbeat. They did it with Bandersnatch, just give me Beware of the Purple Peanut Butter, please. Hit me with the Deadly Experiments of Dr. Eek. I would even settle for Diary of a Mad Mummy, or Please Don't Feed the Vampire.